How's it going, everyone? Good Dental Games. We have our reveal review today. Should be a quick one today. We'll try to keep it snappy. We chat a lot. We don't save our discussions just purely for this, or else I feel like we'd ramble way more. I got a card list up just in case we need to refer to anything. So let's just get into it.
Yeah, we're 1 month away from this set, so coming down to the last few cards.
I know, and it's exciting. I mean, this is the first one we have today is very exciting. Dark Lugiel, level 5. Actually, something we talked about in the last video too, right? Like, oh man, Dark Lugiel is really good, but it'd be insane if you got a level 5. Well, turns out, as it turns out, there is a level 5 now. What do you think about this card's ability by itself?
Okay, so yeah, for the ability, getting rid of a scene is always nice. It's specifically level 2, so it's not like Dark Lops that has a little more flexibility, but I mean, getting rid of a scene is always nice, handy. We play plenty of games where the right Dark Lops at the right time can screw up the opponent's strategy. And then, more importantly, it's level 5 Lugiel, so you can play it early. Who knows whether or not the scene will be out when you want to play it as a single? Because in my mind, playing Dark Lugiel as like turn
Probably
1
not.
or 2 was kind of the scary stuff. So, but that's fine because I'm happy with just getting a level 5 Dark Lugiel, regardless of the ability.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if like there's a little bit ways to like search kaiju a bit better or something like that, it could be really strong. And so if you guys, we've thought about this a lot. So if you're not aware, the crazy play you have is like level 5 Dark Lugiel on the first turn. Then the second turn, you have level up your first one and you play a double Dark Lugiel in the second one. So what's going to happen is your opponent's probably going to go to level 2 on their side, and then they're going to play level 1 on their second lane. And now they're double level up locked, which means you don't have to worry about any triples coming out for those first 2 lanes. So you just need to hit them with a guaranteed win in the third lane, which there's like several things that could get there. One thing that we've discussed is the new promo. Sorry, not the new promo, the new double R Zeton. If you can play that as a double, I think it's a 14,000, which is pretty hard to contest with by itself. And if your opponent tries to cheese a BP boost, it goes up to 20,000. So it's going to be really hard to beat that. But if the opponent gets out of your lock somehow, it could be in trouble. But that play itself is like pretty deadly, and why we were so interested in getting a level 5 Dark Lugiel last time.
I mean, if you're able to get that starting hand where you have 2 level 5 Dark Lugiels and 2 level 6s, you're already off to a good start. I think.
It could get a little crazy.
Works out of that.
It could get a little crazy. All right, let's move on to the next one. Gil Arc. So we kind of saw this card before because we saw the Japanese version, but it's nice to have the English version. So it's a level 7, 60 caps at 16,000 power, and a double triple ability whenever a scene enters play. Give one of your Gil Arc or Arc plus 1,000 BP. And so a few notes for this one that we should be thinking about, and probably the most important one is that it's actually whenever a scene enters play, which means including your opponent's scenes. So in some senses, this is one of the first kind of like defensive abilities that activates off of something your opponent does.
Yeah, I think you'll probably see scenes coming in to play most turns, give or take. So you should regularly be able to bump this one up to 17, or if it's already winning its lane, you could bump a different arc. So for an uncommon level 7, if you're going to have like half your deck be Gil Arc, I don't think it's a bad level 3, level 7, however you want to call it.
I'm thinking too that now that like it might serve a little bit better as a level 2, like as a double, a 6/7 double. Like 12,000 is like, it's not the greatest. You'd love to have a 13, but chances are it's going up to 13 anyway. And because in fact can activate more than one time in one turn, if you have like the BP1 arc, then you can bump it up again, or put that power anywhere that might be useful. And 1,000 power can make or break games. So I think let's move on to, we'll skip one and go to the other Gil Arc. This is a rare Gil Arc. And this one, also 16 power, 1,000 power capping out on a level 7. Not too great about I don't feel great about that. When it enters play as a double or a triple, you can send one of your scenes to the discard area or discard a scene from your hand to give this character's battle opponent a BP grade decrease by 1 for this turn. So a little Blazar action, but you have to discard a card or discard your scene. That card part could be a little bit tricky depending on how lead priority goes. But it seems reasonable. I think for me, I'm a little bit more excited about the other one, the other Gil arc, just because I'm not sure how this one's going to play out exactly yet.
Yeah, it feels like a mix of like a budget Rosso where you can discard a card and give the opponent the BP decrease, and yeah, it's only for this opponent, which is a little awkward, and then it's not as strong as like the Blazar, triple R by itself, or double R. So it's handy, but a little hard to build a Gil arc deck around.
Yeah, I think my thought kind of echoes from the last Gil arc is that you might have more success playing this one as a 6/7 double in the last lane and then having a BP decrease. Even though it's 12,000 power, it's still going to be a little bit harder to fight. But I think one thing, before we move on from the arcs that has to be talked about is, at least briefly, is the fact that Gil arcs don't really seem to mesh well with the existing arcs. Right? We have Galaxy Armor, which, of course, you're going to have more cards, another Scene Searcher and Gil arc, but like that's about it. It's not playing extra scenes, which means you're not going to have scenes for this Gil arc. You're not going to be playing scenes for this Gil arc. So it doesn't really feel like it fits well with Galaxy Armor, which is sad because it'd be cool to like have 2 Galaxy Armor, stuff going on. But then even with this one, which synergizes a little bit with the basic arc from BPO1, you're going to have to, maybe another topic too is you're going to have to go back and look at all your cards, the Soulless Armor arc and the Arc to the Future cards. Both of those can only BP plus, like 1,000 or 2,000 other Ultra Heroes, which means you can't actually touch your Gil arcs with their BP boosts. So it's not as flexible as like a mono arc is, where you can put the power everywhere, which is honestly what I think gives it a lot of its strength.
And you're the resident mono arc deck player. Feels like it's a shame that mono arc, it sounds like, is just consistently both more consistent and more powerful. It would have been nice to have this as an equally viable option, maybe a different play style, but arc already has so many good options that it's hard for Gil arc to find its place here.
Yeah, I think what I was looking for Gil arc, or what I would have liked to see from Gil arc, is maybe enough power behind it that it can function as a Gil arc deck that has arc as the support, because arc has such like a good like the mono arc deck, right? It's already really solid, so trying to get Gil arc to help support that when they don't really mix well is kind of awkward. Whereas if you had Gil arc having its own really strong effects, and then you were able to pop in like the basic arc to start playing a little extra scenes, giving boosts to this arc, that I think would be kind of the ideal way to go. But I don't personally feel right now that Gil arcs have enough oomph unless you get like 2 of these as triple, and then you play a scene, and then you BP1 arc a scene, and then you get 4,000 power all over the place. You get a little silly, but been doing a little bit of arc rambling. Let's continue. We forgot to do our thumbs up and thumbs down, so let's go back really quick. Dark Blue Gil, thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs
Just
up.
because it's a 5. Both Gil arcs, I'm kind of in the middle on.
Happy with that. Yeah.
Maybe leaning towards thumbs down.
I mean, as a card, I think it's medium, but for what it maybe should represent in the larger scheme of things, then the thumbs down.
Yeah, I think I'm like medium on them as cards, and then the fact that they don't like leans me a little bit worse, but that's it. So this one should be quick. The Z scene is definitely thumbs down. Before I even read it. So if you have Z, you can send the top 3 cards of your deck to discard and draw a card. And when you draw a card, you discard a card. So you don't get any extra cards in your hand because the card that you drew, you have to discard, which is, it's okay. You get a little bit of a better hand. Maybe you fill up your discard for something. Z is not totally fantastic. So, it feels like the only reason to play Z is the original scene card. There's other than that, it's like this card standalone is pretty bad. I think you also agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not much to add here. I think I want to see more from Z. Very cool character, so hopefully we get a little bit more in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it opens up the potential possibility of like a Z Hikari with a lot of the mill, but whether like I don't think Z or Hikari are ultra heroes that can carry the games by themselves. So that like makes me a little hesitant. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. That's the arc. And then last one, this was today's, I think. Mm-hmm. Ultraman 0 level 1. This one is, on the surface, it feels like it's not much to talk about. Like, oh, it's just another 0. It's just, better than your vanillas, right? Mm-hmm. But what do you think about this card, after we've given it some more thought?
I mean, this one came out today as of us recording this, and only been probably like 2 hours. But I actually started to like it more and more. I think it does a lot for 0 decks. I haven't really done 0 as much myself, but yeah, I think it opens new things. Like, yeah, if you play it turns 1 or 2, it's not really going to do stuff. But if you play it like a turn 5, it's 9,000. Assuming you're running mono 0. There, so it may be 7 to 9,000. So pretty good actually for just a single. That's the same as most level 2s and a good amount of level 3s. Could get a little higher if you have a mono 0 deck. Then you could do some shenanigans where you play it next Ultimate 0. It gets another 3,000 on top of that. But where I actually want to get a lot of your thoughts are on, because it's a fairly solid level 1/0. If you're playing it turn 6 by itself, top decking, you actually will probably beat most characters with just this level 1, which normally is not the case.
Yeah.
So now that you have more level 1s, maybe you can build more level 3s. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just I think I've like touched mono 0 a little bit more than you have. I'm kind of a fan of having low level 1 count, just because you're not really like after that, like you want to have the draw level 1 on turn 1, obviously, but after that, you really don't want to be playing like 1s. Like it kind of depends how the strategy goes, but like you're okay having like maybe 1 or 2 other level 1s you draw throughout the game, but you definitely don't want a lot in your hand, because you'd rather be playing like a 2-3 combo or 3 by itself. But having more level 1s is really helpful, where if you don't want to set up the ultimate 0 on the first lane, then you have that 1-2 you can play later and set it up. It gives you a little bit more options for setting up at the risk of not having a good play when you just draw a bunch of level 1s, which I think this also helps mitigate that a little bit, which is
I think for me, thumbs up on this one. It's probably the most interesting one of these level 1 non-drawing abilities. Like we have the 10K against kaijus, or putting a card back top of your deck and cycling or something. But
yeah, I do really like how they have gone with this set. They kind of experimented with a ghoul, I would say, where it was a draw 2, but then it got a plus 1,000 if you had Gaia. So it was a little bit different than all the other ones. And the Blazar level 1 from set 2 as well. Like it was a rare. It wasn't a vanilla. It had an effect, but it wasn't like no one else has an effect. It's specifically to support Blazar. So it's kind of fun to see. Like this is like no other type is gonna, another ultra is gonna get this kind of ability. It's like kind of handcrafted for 0, and we also saw that with Yeed. So I kind of like this trend, and I'm interested to see what the other ones will get too. So that's that. So yeah, thumbs up for me as well. So I think it's a double thumbs up for us. And let's get to the video, because that's where the juice is. Kyrie Lloyd 2.
Just starting off, I actually really like this art. This
Ooh,
form is probably my favorite form of Caruloid. Like
yeah.
in Tiga, probably one of my favorite Tiga episodes and fights. So really excited that they have. I can't actually see the artist with where the
Oh, it's Matt
stream
Frank.
is, but yeah, this is definitely one where like, oh, I kind of want to check out this artist now, and I like the art here. And this is one where when we're opening BP3, if I were to open this and the Japanese one, not the, like Japanese one's also great, but this is one of those ones it has like that nice comic book feel. Reminds me of like Shredder for some reason a little
Yeah,
bit.
Shredder. It does look like Shredder. Yeah. No, it's a really nice art. I'm definitely digging that too. So we're also covering up the first power. So it's 10,000, 14, 16, 18. They've hinted. They said, why is it 16 when you might not be able to make a 7? I think they hinted that Caruloid basically wasn't going to have a 7, but you would still has a triple power. So we're expecting some Kaiju BP boost type thing happening sometime in the future. But this ability is kind of wild.
It's the first one we've had of these. I think. I mean, some people are wanting this type of ability to counter like Mebius decks specifically.
Yeah.
Tiga's still up there. It's probably second most common powerful deck. But it's kind of funny to see this very anti-Tiga card. If Tiga really goes wild and we get more Tiga support, which maybe they were hinting at for this set, then playing one of these and you'll be able to outmatch Tiga with an 18K, but then maybe Tiga swaps out of it. Maybe there's a Kaiju that swaps you back in. A lot of interesting
it's gonna be
mechanics.
interesting. But it's so funny that this guy hates Tiga so much. He's specifically built to counter Tiga. I love it. I mean, it's a great turn 3 play on a Kaiju deck to kind of dissuade your opponent from swapping a Tiga triple in there. So pretty interesting stuff. I mean, there's not too much to talk about. He just hates Tiga, and I love that. So I actually have maybe a more lore question. Is there another, like, people saying they want something like this for Mebius? Is there a Mebius hater? Do you know?
I mean, there's like Mebius Killer.
Okay,
it's in the names. You can make things work. You could. I feel like there's with this effect, you can try and take an iconic Kaiju. You can make it work. Like even if there's a Kaiju that was already had a support, or you could just throw in another level 6 version of something that was already released. So
that's so funny that he is Mebius Killer. I really want to see Mebius Killer in this set just because it would be funny.
Yeah, actually, that's what I was going to get to next. Like, so since this is a double R, I feel like there's only going to be so many double R slots. So
yeah, that's true.
Tough to say.
I think we might be running out.
But like now, there's this effect. We might see this in the future if Mebius still goes on a rampage, and who's to say it still doesn't come out in BP3? You know, we haven't seen all the Kaijus.
Yeah.
I forget how many double Rs we usually see in a set.
Yeah, I've not been counting how many we see and how many we've been revealed at all. So we'll see, but it'd be pretty funny. I mean, people would definitely be like losing it more than just for Tiga. I mean, it's still cool for Tiga though.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Let's move on a little bit to another Z.
Oh, before we continue, I think we didn't do our thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I think for me at least, because I like the art. The effect is really interesting. It might not be the most practical, depending on how prevalent Tiga is, but I'm gonna give it a thumbs up just for.
Okay.
I like this. I think this is another discussion on its own. Is like, what would it mean if we had cards like these for every character? Is it like we had the same thing with Promo Zeton. People would just put them in their decks because they would wreck a mono deck.
Yeah.
Maybe if there's a Mebius Killer card out there, everyone's just gonna run 4 of them just because.
Why not? People got some trauma from this meta, I think. Okay, so I'm gonna give it. This might be a first for us where we kind of really disagree. I'm gonna give it a thumbs down, mostly because I just don't really see it being like that useful, and I do like the art, but for me, like how good the card is going to be in actual matches really weighs in big for me. And with even more Ultra Heroes coming out, that and Tiga not seeing any support yet, which I think there will be support. I'm kind of based on this. Like, it'd be weird for me to, like, they got Kyriloid and he hates Tiga, but he doesn't have anything to use against. Seems kind of weird to me, but I just
I
don't
don't
see
disagree.
it happening. I don't really see it happening that much. So thumbs down for me.
And I think that's good. And a lot of it is like I'm not weighting this card on the practicality of it, like playing it in a deck, but I think it's very interesting and exciting.
If I was rating it just on art, yeah, it'd be a thumbs up. But the practicality outweighs it a little bit for me. Okay, so let's check out the 0 again, or the Z. So level 3, we get 8, 13, 17. 17 is respectable. And double, triple activate once per turn. Send one of your scene cards to its owner's discard area. Then reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, put one Z from among them into your hand, and send the rest to the discard. So I like this. I like this for a few reasons, but I think it's also like a little tricky. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts before I talk about mine.
I don't think I've actually played Z in any of my decks, but from what I understand, I feel like it's a nice ability. If you're playing Z as a support, being able to clear your scene could be interesting if you want to flip between a higher and lower power scene for various reasons. And you can reveal, basically you can trash, especially if you have an on-play scene that's already run its course. You can also then trash it and get another card. So I think for what it is, I like it.
Okay, yeah. So my thoughts are, okay. So one thing I didn't realize, looking back, is that it's also a double 13 that has this effect. That makes me feel a little better about it because you're going to be able to use it without totally doing it. Totally, having to do the triple, which is one of the, I think, the issues with the current Z card, which is a double rare, but like if you don't get it to a triple, it doesn't feel that great. And even when you get it to the triple, it's at 15,000, and it feels really bad. So I think in general, I think this C card is strong, but I got 2 issues with it. My first issue is it sends a scene from its owner's area to the discard area. That means if you don't have lead to place a scene, the card is kind of useless. Unless you're combining with Arc, which is a possibility. The second one is that it looks at the top 3 for Zs, which means you really want to have a high quantity of Z. And Z is not worth having a high quantity of right now. So for me, it's a thumbs down right now, but we did get information that Z is in BP4, and I think this card will be like a humongous thumbs up when we get there.
I'm going to leave it at a middle because one thing I like about this is compared to a lot of the other effects we've seen today, it's an activate, not an on play. So you could set this up in lane 1 as a 17k, pretty standard, not weak hero, and then if you're playing deck with on play scenes, just get another card. If you're playing Mebius with Z, you get extra discards and you get a card in your hand. And I don't care that it's a Z. It's an extra card in my hand that I could do something with. So I'm not going to give it a thumbs up, but I think it's interesting. It might, maybe once we see the BP4 stuff, I'll give it that.
Think about how many cards you could mill if you play the Hikari scene and then discard the Hikari scene to mill 3 more with this one. It's pretty silly, but yeah. So for me, thumbs down right now. But like, since we know Z is going to come out, if you are a Z boy, a Z girl, you make sure you get it. Make sure you get it. And luckily, it's a rare, so it shouldn't be that hard. I think I'll try to muck around with Z, just because, from other card games, drawing cards is nice. So I think if you can kind of muster up enough card draw, essentially, you could probably squeak out some wins. You just kind of have to figure out. It has that issue, we talked about, I don't know, off camera or not, with Decker, where you get like a lot of power, but you can't adjust to what your opponent's doing. So like you don't have any responses. Okay, we've been rambling a little bit too much. We're going to go to the last card. It is the Juggulous Juggler. I keep adding a U. It's Juggless Juggler. I keep saying Juggulous Juggler. Juggless Juggler, 7, 12, 17. Nice solid 17. and it has so much text it doesn't fit in their blow up. It's when double or triple, when this character enters play, you choose one card at random for your opponent's hand. They reveal it. If it's a character card, then you give a battle opponent of one of your Jugglers a BP grade decrease for 1 turn. So this card is, I thought it was honestly pretty blah because it reminded me a lot of the Gil arc we just saw. But then you pointed out it works on any of your Jugglers, which means it's very versatile. So since you brought up those good points, let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's I mean, so this is the triple R. This is the boss monster, if you want to call it that you'll build your deck around. And I think it's pretty solid. It works on a double, so you could play it as a 6/7 in like turn 4. Not too bad. Not 13k is the better benchmark, but still not bad if your opponent doesn't have the level up turn 4. If you have let's say a double or a triple Juggler you place in lane 1 or 2, you can now make that a win. Similar to how like some of the Rosso blue decks, you have that scene card in your hand to I forget which one, unfortunately, but the
it's a Farewell Icarus.
Farewell Icarus. Okay, I forget if it's that one or the We Are Ultraman. So yeah, you could play Farewell Icarus and then you win one of those lanes and then flip the game, just like him effectively. You could play it, flip in contest one of your turn, like lane 1 or 2. I like that. There is that randomness element of it with like the hand.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. And
speaking of Rosso Blue, if you play this against Rosso Blue, you might be in for a bad time.
Yeah. I mean, then it makes me want to like throw, if this card becomes very prevalent and we see it everywhere, then I'm gonna increase the number of scenes in my deck just to like which one do you want, and like a little bit of Go Fish mind games or something.
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. And so kind of what you mentioned about like the our Rosso Blue stuff is one thing that like kind of how I've played Rosso Blue in the past is I use a double Rosso in lane 3, because having that double in lane 3 and being able to BP decrease any of my lanes pretty much guarantees I'm going to survive that. So I can be a little bit more greedy with drawing, playing more draw cards and getting like a slower setup, because if I have that double on the 3rd lane, I'm probably going to be able to flip at least one of my lanes to survive. And I think you could use Juggler in a similar way. So it'll be pretty interesting to see.
Just before, I don't want to ramble on too much, but those points you mentioned, I feel like are key things to look for in a card. It has that survivability, if you want to call it that. You could play it turn 3 and ensure you survive the game.
Yeah,
always good to have those type of tools in your deck.
Definitely.
And then you can also flip pass lanes, another important tool, like the Gil arc we saw, or I think the Blazar, like Blazar effects. You can win your lane, which is always nice to have, but sometimes you're already winning a lane and it doesn't feel good to win more, whereas you can use this to redistribute a lot of power.
All right, and that's it. Let's give it a thumbs up, thumbs down, and wrap it up. Yep, it's going to be a thumbs up. It's going to be pretty silly to see Juggler and all the random cards revealing out of hand. And I'm pretty excited because I think the scene is pretty solid for Juggler too. So cool stuff. We'll catch y'all next week for the other reveals. They said it's that card, which I think we all understand to be Belial.
Oh, Tiga? Oh, sorry.
What?
Tiga?
Tiga? He's got to beat down that Kyriloid. Yeah. But yeah, they're talking about Kyriloid. How is he going to use the 16,000 power? Which makes me think we're going to get the Belial triple rare. It's going to BP boost Kaijus. And that could be pretty dangerous if you can play Juggler's triple rare as a double BP minus something and then boost that up to 17. So pretty interesting. Yep, and that's it. So we'll see y'all next time.
Thanks. Bye.